Welcome back to another edition of the You Should Get a License podcast edition. I said it in reverse. It's another edition. It's the You Should Get a License podcast edition. This is Rod Powell, and really looking forward to the conversation that I'm going to have today. The gentleman who we're speaking with is someone who I actually discovered, via his social media. And when you go on his page and his outlet, you can not only tell his passion for the business, but you can also tell the level of service that he provides with the testimonials that he shares. He's bringing knowledge and information about financial literacy, about generational wealth, and life insurance, which is very, very important, for everyone, but particularly, for African Americans. And, we talk about this, continuously trying to make sure that, we also have a presence in the industry. It's an important topic, and we want everyone, but we know how underrepresented we are. But I'm excited because he's someone who has had enough time in the industry to be successful and experience what it is. But I know he's still in the early stages of what his career is actually going to become. So I want to welcome, to the You Should Get a License podcast, Mr. Jamil Warren. Jamil, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Look, first, I'm glad you were able to join us. I know that when you're in this business, your schedule can get very packed. You can get busy as well. This platform is really to educate people about insurance. There's so many different types that are out there. You have the life and health side, you got the PNC side. So before we even get into any of your background, if you could just share, your area of specialty and what area of insurance you focus on, and give us, some insight into that. So what do you do on a day-to-day?
Yeah, so I'm actually licensed in life and health, but I don't offer health. I don't offer health insurance at all. So I stick to the life side. So that's basically what I do and what I focus on. In the beginning, I thought that I was going to do the life and health, but I found that I actually like the life better as far as helping families and things of that nature. So pretty much every day, that's what I do. Strictly life insurance.
Life insurance. And you've been in the industry 3 years now?
3 years now. Yep.
I was told when I first joined the business, and I was meeting with some companies that said, look, if you last 3 years in the business, then you're in it for life. This is it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because typically they say people don't make it 90 days or something like that?
Yeah, 90 days, certainly past the first year, in many cases. So, 3 years, you are a wily veteran, at this point. And, you're still a young guy,
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of room to keep growing. And, let's talk about that. So with life insurance, there's different types of life insurance, that are out there. There's the term, there's the whole, there's the ULs, and if you aren't in insurance, some of the things that I'm saying may not even be familiar, but I'm going to turn it over to Jamil to kind of explain, some of those different life insurances that are available to folks out there that you should learn about.
Yeah. So of course we can start with the permanent life insurance. That would be your whole life policy or your universal policies, depending upon which universal you go with. So let's just say if you do the whole life, that's a traditional permanent life insurance plan that you can put in place. And of course, it's set to last your whole life. And you have some universal policies. One of them that's kind of underrated, which is called like a signature guaranteed universal policy. That's a permanent plan too, that builds a little bit of a cash value, but not where you should be borrowing from it. You can get tricky there. You can mess around and, your policy can lapse, but it is a permanent policy as well. That's a signature universal life insurance policy. And you have an index universal life insurance plan. Those are typically the ones that people put in place to build wealth long term. It has the cash account that's attached to it. So as you're making your monthly premium, some of the money is paying for your insurance, some of it is being saved for you, and it's attached into the S&P 500. So it depends upon how the S&P scores for that year. It lets you know pretty much what interest rate would be added on top of the money that was saved in that account for you. So of course, those are your permanent plans. You have the term policies. There are all kinds of term policies too. You have an annual renewable term. Those start off very, very, very cheap. but they increase every year. So you might want to be cautious of taking out something like that. You have your 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Typically, if you're under 51, you can get a 30-year term plan. And you also can get a term policy with a ROP, which is a return of premium. Those cost more, but a lot of times, depending upon the carrier, if you get that policy in place, when your policy expires, because of course, when we say term, you want to think temporary. It's only going to last for a specific amount of time. So let's say if you do a 30-year term policy with a return of premium, at the end, when that policy expires, if you outlive it, of course, the 30 years, you can get pretty much like 75% of your premiums paid back to you. That's if you go with that particular plan.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Listen, he just gave us an entire lesson, through the different types of life insurance. Man, that's just, amazing. And so it's just so important for people to know, but I think it's really, amazing that you were able to go through that information and keep it very concise, because when people think about insurance, they think about something that's going to be super complicated. They're not going to be able to understand it. And, although there may be some specific terms that you have to ask additional questions on, if you're talking to Jamil, he was able to explain it in a way where you are able to know what direction you may want to go based on your own specific situation. And should you decide to join the industry, you'll know how to explain those things as well. That's the whole objective. So, hey, look, man, I want to go back, even before we talk about, how you got into the industry, and your whole journey. I want to go all the way back, like to your childhood, because typically when we enter this business, it's by happenstance, right? Like, some lucky coincidence, put us, in the business. Okay. I want you to take me back 9 years old, 10 years old. What was the dream job for Jamil Warren? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I actually wanted to be in music.
Mm.
I wanted to be in music. I wanted to produce music. I wanted to be on that side of the field. I wanted to be in the entertainment business. Well, I didn't see it as entertainment. It actually was gospel for me. I saw myself being in the gospel music industry when I was younger.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. That's interesting. My background prior to insurance was in the entertainment business, and it was a transition, into insurance. I want to like talk about that a little bit, because there's a lot of similarities actually between, the creativity and the communication skills that you need to develop, when you're in that industry, and the creativity and out of the box thinking and communication skills you have to develop in this industry. I want to hear, from you, what similarities, did you see, and what things did you see in your time in entertainment that helped you transition successfully into insurance?
Yeah, well, like I said, whenever I had the dream of being in entertainment and being in the music industry, I was young. About the time I started to become older, I started realizing, like, I don't know if there's something that I would like to do, especially because, again, I wasn't looking at the overall entertainment spectrum. I was looking at the gospel side of things.
Gotcha.
So as I began to get older, by the time I became like a teenager, I knew that wasn't what I wanted.
That wasn't it. No. Okay. So you by team. So early on, you're like, okay, we're gonna shift directions completely. Okay. So take me up. Take me up from school. As a matter of fact, let's start when you were a teenager. Start when you were a teenager, and take me along your career path, from high school, and then how'd you end up getting into, the insurance space?
Got it. So we're gonna go all the way back here.
Okay.
And there's a little story that comes with it, because I live here in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
And there was a man here by the name of Mr. Leroy Boyd, who owned a outreach, I don't know what you call it, but his name of his business was called Movement for Change. And what he did, he was an activist. He worked on cases and things like that that happened to people in the community. Like if you got hurt on a bus or something like that. So for my story, my great uncle was killed in our jail here.
Mm.
and he worked on that case. As a matter of fact, he worked on a lot of cases here similar to that in my city. And my grandmother said to my mom, "You need to put Jamil up there in the office with him." That was her way of getting what she wanted, because you didn't pay him for these things. This is what he did. But she knew you put a family member, you put someone working with him in there, that'll make him focus more on our case.
Right, got you.
So my summer, instead of me playing around like most people do, I had to work at the office with Mr. Leroy. I had never had a job before then. I was probably like 13 or 14 years old at the time. So I worked with him in his office on his case. So I started developing my admin and clerical skills, just working in the office with him at that time, right? By the time I became 16, where I was able to legally get a job, my first job was a fast food job, pretty much like how most teenagers. I worked at Whataburger here in Pensacola, Florida.
Whataburger? Whataburger?
Whataburger, yes. It's crazy because on some, depending upon where you're from, you probably never heard of them before.
Now there's okay, so I'm in Richmond or Chesterfield, Virginia, and there's a place called Whataburger that's been around since I was in college. I mean, it's just like one location. I think it's probably the only location in the state.
Is it orange and white?
I can't remember what color it is.
Oh, you'll know if it's them because they
I
have.
know it's them. Okay.
They have them orange and white cups.
Orange. Okay. All right.
Yeah, in some states don't have, but which is weird. But they all over the place. But I worked there for 1 year, my very first job, legally, legal job at 16, and I worked there 1 year. By the time it was time for me to leave, because I have a story about that too, because I know a lot of people say that they don't like their kids working fast food. I learned a lot working at fast food, because you work the hardest that you ever gonna work for the smallest amount of money that you probably ever going to accept, ever, as an adult. You work very hard. You learn how to manage, and everything is about time. You don't have time to drag and think about what you're going to do. So you're pretty much learning how to work with clients, how to be disciplined, working on the time frame, and working in a group setting as well. Again, no, it's not the dream job, but looking back, having that job always pushed me and made me grateful for the next job that came along. Because I was like, this is way easier than working at Whataburger, and I wasn't getting paid nothing. When I was working there. Yeah. So after leaving that, I immediately transitioned into the cleaning field, the custodial field. And I did that pretty much all the way up until I came into the insurance industry. At the age of 21, I started my very own cleaning business. And I ran that business for a while, anywhere from like 3 to 5 years. I had contracts with the airport here, UPS stores, the O'Reillys, condos. I started off with the condos and things like that. I did that for the longest, running my own cleaning business. And I was 21 years old I was 20 years old when I started my own cleaning business. And I did that for some years, all the way up until I was offered a position to work for the county here. That's the Escambia County. I live in Escambia County. And I was offered the job to become the custodial supervisor. And it was way more easier than what I was doing, because I was going from having to run a business. And it's not easy running a cleaning business, because anyone just able to start a cleaning business here. And, a lot of times, unfortunately, clients not thinking about the quality. Mm-hmm. They're thinking about what can we get for the cheapest amount of service. So it's always something with the bids all the time, right? So I ended up taking a position working for the county as a custodial supervisor, where I just supervised. And I think I was the youngest African-American to ever be hired as a manager for the Escambia County, because I came through as a manager. And I was the boss of people that graduated high school with my mom.
All right.
I'm 20 something and I'm the supervisor of these women that's 57, 60, some of these men 65.
Yeah.
But I did that all the way up until I came into the insurance industry.
Yeah.
But when I was 18 years old, I was always tricked into this meeting. This is what I had to tell you. I was always tricked into these meetings. This is the way they used to try to recruit people for insurance back then. They'll make it seem like you coming for a customer service interview or something like that. Then you get there and it's about life insurance. I used to walk out. I've been in 3 meetings that I thought I was there to interview for, a customer service representative. Now I think back what I would have been. Now I think back, like, what if I would have took the job? What if I would have got the license? But every time I walked out, I'm like, I'm so tired of these people lying to get us here for these job interviews.
Because I know the interviews that you're talking about.
It was crazy. I've been in 3 of them. You thinking that you're going there for an exclusive interview, and it's 30 of y'all. It's 30 to 40 individuals in there. We're like, this a group? What's going on?
Right.
Yeah. So I always think back like, wow, if I would have came in the insurance industry at 18, no matter, ain't no telling what I would have been. But who knows? I probably wasn't ready at that time at the mindset, because of course, how I was raised, we was always told never to get a commission job. I feel differently about that now. But the way that I was raised, they used to tell us, if they talking about commission, you need to walk out. And unfortunately, your surroundings, what you learn, what they teach you, is a lot of times the way that you go. So anytime a commission job came my way, I exit stage left. And when you talking about the insurance industry, that was one of the main things that you was also raised and taught not to open the door for, was the insurance man. If he came knocking on the door or whatever the situation was, nothing was sexy about the insurance industry. It is nothing about this industry at all. You could have never told me that this would be the industry that I would end up coming in, because just based upon what I told you, everything would be looking the total opposite as far as me coming into the insurance industry.
Yeah, man, that is, your words are prolific, because the what you're saying are not only thoughts that I had, when I was younger, particularly with commissions. Now, I come from a family where, both of my parents, ran businesses. So obviously, if they didn't have business, there was nothing, coming in, particularly my father. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was told, hey, look, if this is 100% commission, you got to be careful, yes. Not realizing that the person who is always at the top of the economic food chain is someone who is on commission. That commission-based sales jobs are the highest paid occupations on the planet,
Yes.
Not realizing that, that the CEO of the company is really commissioned. That if you're working for a company, you're really on a commission. It's just, they've just designated however much they're going to give you for that. But you found something where you had the opportunity to basically determine your own value. And that's really what commission really is. You get to determine your own value. There's yes. no cap, no ceiling on that. I think that's phenomenal, man. So tell me, so you went to 3 interviews. Each time hey, I'm out the door because I'm thinking this is customer service. Yeah. The fourth, was it the 4th one that you said, hey, let me go ahead and give it a shot? I mean, what happened?
Oh no, these interviews was when I was 18.
Oh, okay. So now we're going back after you've already built a business. I'm sure that taught you some lessons as well about commissions. And, now you're looking at, when you see it again, you're like, oh, okay, I see how this makes sense now with my new entrepreneurial mind, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So the cleaning business was different because even though we're talking about commissions, I also had that sense of security with the cleaning business because I was able to get those contracts.
Right. So you knew it was coming in.
Yeah. So I knew it was coming in. So I can't compare it and make it seem like it's like commission, because I knew that it was coming in because I've got a contract here that says you paying me $1,200 a month, you paying me $1,500 a month. So it was different. And then I made sure I had my little stipulations in there. You just couldn't cancel on me. If you did, I had to have a month in advance. Or if you tried to break that, you would have to pay me for a month. So I made sure that I had my.
But you had to win those contracts though.
Oh yeah. I had to win those contracts, or most of the ones I negotiated though. A majority of the ones I negotiated because I was big with marketing myself
Yes.
in the community. So the way that I got a lot of the contracts was either through the ones that I put myself out and they called me. I really never got a chance to participate in the community or the county. None of those
RFP process, you didn't have to do that at all. They would just reach out. Perfect. So how did the insurance finally, how did it come back around and get you in the mix?
Actually, back in 2018, just being on, okay, so years of me being in the cleaning industry and me knowing the goals and the way that I want to see my life and the type of money that I wanted to make, I was ready to make more money, without having to do all of this work. I was doing a lot of work, even when I was supervisor, because I just always been pretty much like a workaholic. Even when I worked at the county as a supervisor, when I got off, I went to clean buildings. I had 4 or 5 buildings that I would go clean when I got off work. So I was like, I'm ready to make either what I'm making now more with less work. How am I going to do this? Not less work, less strenuous work on my body, because that was very taxing.
Right.
I like a lot of, like, you're talking about 80 some hours weekly of just, paving it all the time. And I said, I know that my greatness is outside of my comfort zone. So I started preparing myself like, okay, I'm probably going to have to enter in something that I don't want to do. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll see. Then I started seeing these advertisements about coming into the life insurance industry. I'm like, no way. I'm not doing that. I'm like, well, maybe real estate. I love real estate, but I never had the desire to enter real estate as a business. I like real estate looking at it. So I seen some advertisement for life insurance. I was like, well, let me just check this video out. I checked the video out, and what was displayed through the business overview, I was like, well, who knows? I may be in my own way. My thinking and my unwillingness may be what's holding me in this situation. I know me. I know when I commit to something, I give it 1,000%. I said, maybe if I join the life insurance industry and I don't give up on myself, I don't make no room for excuses, and I really go in this and try to learn this industry, let's give it a shot. Yeah. But I didn't have the attitude like, let's give it a shot. I had the attitude like, this is what's going to change my life. If it happened for these people, it can happen for me. And I'm not even going to have that thought in my mind like, it's not going to work out. I'm going to try 30 days. I was like, no, this is a new career I'm going into. I gave myself a certain amount of time to be able to be done with all of them jobs, and it's been on ever since then.
So basically, you planted your flag, and you said, look, this is it. Line is in the sand. Yeah. Like, I'm on the shore of burning ships. I gotta make it work. Yeah. Man, how was that? How was that for you? Like, what did that feel like? Can you describe that? Because I know there are people who get on the fence and are scared to take those kinds of leaps. Oh yeah. I was tired of working all them jobs, like I told you. I was on 5 different payrolls. So I said, my main thing is, you mean to tell me that someone can make this much money off of one client? There's 5 of them buildings that I'm when I get off work, one client is 5 of these buildings. So you mean to tell me you can be successful in this industry if you work with 3 clients a week, depending upon the client, one client a week. I'm like, I know that I can at least work with 3 clients a week. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to find out. I'm going to research. I'm going to study how to market, how to get clients, what I need to do. I'm going to make it work for me. If I was able to be in this cleaning industry and all these years, if I was able to have a cleaning business and have to go through all that as far as getting clients and saying,
That's totally different. I'm trying to convince you of let's doing a partnership together. I know that I can sell a life insurance policy because the way I looked at it, I'm not selling the policy. I'm solving an issue for a family. That's the way I looked at it. Not like hey, I got this policy. Can you get this here? No, what is your need? What's your goal? What is it that you need to make this, to fill this circle for you? That's what I'm offering. So I said, if I come from that perspective, I'll be a lot more trustworthy. And I said, the only thing I need to work on is making myself reputable out the beginning. And that's what I did. Straight out the gate, I started doing things as far as like marketing myself and setting myself apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So did you, so when you were getting started, in your life insurance business, so you saw the video, I guess you called, the agency or the company or the carrier and say, hey, look, I'm ready. I want to get appointed with you guys. They, told you about the licensing process. You went and got licensed and you're starting to market your business. And you say, hey, look, I want to start the right way. Did you take the same processes that you used in your cleaning business from standpoint? Did you place ads? Did you just make a list and cold call? How did you start growing your business in the beginning?
I did take it from the same, pretty much like I did with my cleaning business. But I want to say this too, because I know that we're educating and hopefully it's inspiring people that's looking or thinking about coming into the industry. I want to go back to when I was in the license process, because a lot of people like to make excuses for themselves, right? You have to understand, like I said, I was on 5 different payrolls. I was working crazy, but I still got my license.
Yeah.
Because I know some people want to think I got this job and I don't have no time. Well, I had a full-time job and I cleaned 4 buildings after I left my full-time job. And I still managed to get my license. And I did it backwards because I'm in Florida. You have to do the pre-licensing course. I studied the pre-license course, but I didn't even finish it. I went and passed my state exam and couldn't get my license because it was like, well, you missing some hours. I'm like, they was like, did you do the pre-license course? I'm like, I didn't finish it. They was like, well, you got to finish it. So I actually had passed the state exam and had to go back and do the pre-licensing course. But I did what I had to do to get my license. There was nothing that I was going to allow to get in my way to stop me from getting my license, because in my mind, this license is going to change my life. And it actually did. So going back to as far as to whenever I joined the industry, how did I get clients? Oh, I did some of everything. I definitely marketed like crazy. And me going out in the community, speaking, me having yard signs done, me being on the radio, I paid for radio spot stuff here locally as well. That led to me being featured in our Pensacola News Journal here, which is pretty much like if you're in Pensacola, it's pretty much like the biggest publication that you can get here. That was really something that I needed, because my main thing is we got all these other insurance companies. I need to legitimize myself. And the only thing I'm trying to do is make my name reputable, because that's the main thing that people look at. What's going to make me go to Jamil Warren and work with him to get life insurance? So that really helped me, and more doors just started to open from there. But I didn't start placing ads until I was in the industry for probably like 6 months to about 8 months.
6 months. Yeah. No, man, I hear, the commitment, the determination, the discipline, that you had. And I commend you, for, moving on that and making these things happen. And then eventually even say, hey, look, I'm going to invest in myself as well. Because you have to be able to invest in yourself, whether it be from, time, whether it be from money, whatever it is. You gotta, if you know who you are and you know what your abilities are, you gotta be willing to stand on that, right? And move forward in it, man. So you've now 3 years, 3 years in the business. You still, look, you're active on social media. When did you start adding that to the business? Was that something that you added in the beginning, or did you incorporate that later on?
Well, I started with what I can afford in the beginning. Actually, in the beginning, I started with Fiverr videos and things of that nature. And then did one little shoot where I had like a couple pictures done, and I used them pictures forever because I was like, okay, I invested in this. Now it's time to flip. I have to start like putting this stuff out. I got to start doing whatever I need to do to start bringing clients in, and that's what was happening. Clients was coming in, and clients was coming in. But yes, social media has always been a part of my business, but I've definitely started taking it to the next level pretty much like a year ago.
Okay.
That's when I really got like, after I went to after I went to the Grant Cardone 10X conference in February of 2019. I left that conference so empowered, and I was like, there's no room for excuses. Like, I am my biggest investment, and I never had a problem with investing in myself, but we always want to put a cap on what we're going to do. I said, no more cap on investing in myself. If it makes sense, if it's regarding the business that I have now, how can it hurt? You know, so that's what I've always done.
Yeah, man. No, you mentioned Grant Cardone, and you mentioned the 10X conference, which, man, I can imagine that was a powerful event to be at.
Wow.
That book, is just an amazing book. When you're talking about goal setting and vision casting and what you're going to be aspiring to. For those who are listening, if you're not familiar with Grant Cardone, make sure you definitely check out the 10X rule. But check out the show. Did you see Undercover Billionaire when he was on that show? And you talk about excuse. People make excuses. Look, all excuses go out the window when you see people, overcome those types of obstacles and build things really from scratch, much like you have, Jamil. Building it from scratch. Once again, man, it's just phenomenal. So where I was going as far as the question is, you're on a roll with this right now. What keeps you motivated? Like, what is keeps you motivated and keeps you going at this stage?
Yeah, my goal. I haven't hit my goal yet. I haven't hit my goal yet. So, and that's another thing. When you really like a visionary and you have real goals for yourself, you don't make excuses for not hitting them, but you have a tendency of beating yourself up, right? Whatever your goal is for yourself, that's 50,000 in AP for the month, 30,000 AP for the month, whatever that is. Even if I hit my goal, there's always more. So there's things that I want to see in my life. There's things that I want to accomplish that I haven't accomplished yet. And I do have, I want to build a multi-million-dollar agency, and I haven't done that yet. So I still have a long ways to go. So that's what keeps me fueled. It's pretty much like day one for me every day.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So speaking of agency, now Vital Care, that's your agency.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Did you start with your agency, or did you say, hey, now I'm going to launch my agency now that I've established my business a bit?
Oh yeah, I had my name when I got my license.
You started it right from the beginning. That's another piece that I think is important, for individuals who are joining the business, because what happens is, you get appointed and you start you start writing, and you're getting those commissions, and you're getting that 1099, at the end of the year. If you don't have yourself structured properly, that can actually hurt you, on the backside. So, like Jamil just said, hey, he started his business. He got his business established immediately as soon as he, started growing his insurance agency. He's writing policies. Boom, he's doing it with the business there. So, no, that's good stuff, man. So it sounds like I want to, the question I always like to ask, like, how has having a license changed you as a person, right? Mm-hmm. And just listening to your journey, like, I can hear some of that, but I'd love to hear you to speak to, how you feel, life, let's say this, life before your insurance license and life after your insurance license.
The number one thing I would say is freedom. Freedom. If I can scream it, freedom. Like, again, because my life was working all of those jobs. There was no time for me at all. There was no time for anything. Everything was just dedicated to working, working, working. So even though I work hard like that, now, because of course, if I work like that for someone else, I'm going to work like that 50 times more for myself.
Right.
So the way that my life has changed, I would definitely say I have the freedom to run my business and to live my life and to spend time with my family. That's what I would say. And of course, my income has changed significantly from getting a license as well. I really do know that this is an industry that is well slept on because, and I'm going off the radar, but I just have to say this because I know that we live in a time where people needs to be free of others. What that means is you living for other people. You worrying about what they're going to say. Oh, you in the insurance industry? Who want to do insurance? You never know what industry can change your life because just like I just shared with Mr. Powell here, this industry was offered to me 3 times at the age of 18, and I walked away from it. And who's to say where I would be now had I joined way back then? You know what I'm saying? But I joined 3 years ago, and it didn't take long. I was able to leave those jobs within a matter of 4 months. That's how the income can change your life from joining this type of industry. So if you're on the fence, you need to get off the fence. You need to get off the fence and get your license. That's what I would say.
No, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. Speaking to that, you really, started to, branch out and begin coaching and talking to other, professionals about entering the business. And this is certainly the place. So tell me about that. How do you go from, I'm just going to be writing my business to now saying, you know what, I'm going to, coach some others and bring some others in as well?
They forced me basically because I would be bombarded with, and I'm not going to tell you no lie. It was like the whole last year, I was not responding to no messages from agents because I just was so laser focused. Then I started feeling like that's not right. Like you in this industry, you can respond to these people. Like these people want to come in the industry, right? Like you never know. You responding to them may be what they need to go ahead and commit. So they pretty much, so many agents reach out to me, like it's not pretty much like a day that goes by that I don't get a message from a random agent that's asking for advice, or if they haven't came in the industry yet. I'm starting to learn now, and I think I'm going to start working on putting something together. I find that I have a passion of helping those who's already agents, but that's on the verge of giving up. I think that's the audience that I would be good at speaking to, because it's about being intentional with your day. Everyone wants to become a boss. Everyone wants to be able to run their own schedule. But do you know what comes with that? Yes, it comes with freedom. You no longer have a boss telling you what to do. But what that means is you have to be disciplined. You have to be intentional about your day, not just waking up and just saying, well, who's going to call me today? No, before you go to bed, you want to know what your tomorrow is. You need to have an agenda on what you're going to do. Other than that, the whole day is going to go by and you haven't accomplished anything. So agents reaching out to me all the time pretty much put me in that place where I was like, you know what? I need to start empowering upcoming life insurance agents or people that's already in the business.
Yeah, man. I mean, you might have to write a book about it.
Man.
Absolutely. Do you feel like being an insurance agent? I mean, look, you ran a business prior. You obviously have a good head on your shoulders. You can do really whatever you want. Do you feel like having a license changed you as a person? Like, did going through that process affect your character in any way?
Yes, I will say it did affect my character because I didn't used to be the most patient person. Mm-hmm. It put me in a position where I had to become more patient and I had to think more. What I mean by that is sometimes you can be working with someone and you take to heart what they're going through and what their situation look like. But sometimes people don't get it until they get it. So that used to annoy me before I came in the industry. Now I'm just mature and I know, hey, this is what it comes with it. Some people are not going to see the benefit. Some people, it takes them a little longer. I have to be okay with that. So I would say the industry helped me become more patient and to even be even more compassionate when dealing with families and things of that nature.
Got you. Okay. No, awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I tell you, patience. It's interesting. I heard somebody say earlier that patience is the measure of good character, you know, and this is certainly one where you have to be. I mean, you know, you're explaining something that is going to be vital, you know, and someone's in a crucial and fragile time, you know, in somebody's life. And look, it's a big responsibility, you know, that we have in this industry, you know, to the people that we come in contact with and our service to, and to our community as well, you know.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak to that as well? Did you want to
Yes,
speak?
I did, because I have a personal story about that. And it was, I had a client that came to me. She was healthy all the way up until she called me, right? And she had just bought a home. She lived out in Texas. She had a home, had just bought a new home for like $500,000 or 600,000, something like that. On her 50th birthday, she had never had no sickness, no nothing. On her 50th birthday, she had a colonoscopy done and found out that she had stage 4 cancer on her 50th birthday. Now, I've always had compassion again, but this one really hit home for me, because here she was, 50 years old, just found out that she had stage 4 cancer. She just bought this home. She has these 2 kids, and now she needs coverage in place because she didn't have it in place before then. And if you know anything about this industry, there's no way you're going to be able to get something that's going to cover $500,000, cover all of your assets, with you just now being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, right? So the sad part about it is we wound up having to put some final expense coverage in place for her. What was heartbreaking for me was 4 months later, she reached out to me via email. She was like, hey, I just need you to have them resend my policy because I misplaced one of them, because she wound up taking out 2 final expense policies. A month later, I received the claim from that the family had did that she had passed. Within 5 months of this client's coming to me, and this lady, again, 50 years old, never had no health issues up until her getting that colonoscopy done. That's when it really, really, really hit me that I am playing a big role in these family lives, because life insurance is not something that people like to think about while they're living, but it's the first thing they think about when someone passes. So anytime that I'm given the opportunity to put this coverage in place, I take my times with my clients, because pretty much I want to be able to service the whole family, but I know how important this is. But that situation changed me as far as how I deal with my clients moving forward, because that was heartbreaking for me to speak to her, and 5 months later for her to pass. That was heartbreaking.
Wow. And it's always a difficult conversation, you know, an uncomfortable conversation to have with somebody, you know, when they come to you and it's kind of after the fact, you know, like particularly maybe if it's somebody who you've spoken with before, you know, when they would have gotten through the underwriting process pretty smooth, and then they call you back later on to say,
oh my God, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, you know, it's man, that is a rough story. I mean, now your family was growing up. I mean, was having, I know that, you know, the commission sales, hey, look, watch out for the commission sales. If life insurance man come, you know, hey, don't necessarily open the door. But was life insurance important with your family growing up?
On my dad's side, my grandmother had insurance on everything breathing. If she could have had them on the cats, she would have had them on them too. Like anything, and it's not a funny story, but it kind of is. This lady had insurance policies on her children, her grandchildren, her nephews, her nieces. And I always used to say, now I went in the industry then. That's also what gave me the inspiration to come in the industry too. That's, you know, my grandmother, because I was very close with her. It's my grandmother on my dad's side. She had insurance policies on just about anything. And to tell you to see how a lot of them policies paid out to her while she was still living, because people grow up, some people get on drugs, so just things that so many people that she had policies on had passed while she was still living.
Wow.
And this was back in the day when she, you take out all these little $10,000 policies, but every time you turned around, she was 10,000 here, 15 here, 20 there, 10,000 there, because she was big on making sure that she had life insurance. So that was on my dad's side. I did life insurance was definitely a must on my dad's side. Not so much on my mom's side. No.
Yeah, but you were exposed, to seeing what those benefits look like. Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I didn't see no problems ever with a burial or a funeral or ever having to raise money for a funeral on my dad's side of the family, ever. That was on my mom's side, when everyone had to sit down and figure out who's gonna give what and all this madness. Yeah.
And it's definitely a much easier scenario to go through. I mean, it's not an easy scenario at all when you lose a family member, but definitely creates less stress when that part is taken care of, when the financial aspect at least is done. Versus
it's a lot less stressful because the funeral homes is a business as well.
That's right.
They don't care. They want their payment to do whatever service they need to render, so you have to have your business, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we have coverage on our loved ones. It's not the community, and I'm not being rude, but we live in a day and time where it's easy for people to just create a GoFundMe page, and people have to understand. I know some scenarios happen where people couldn't control it. Sometimes they may have had something in place, but they got it too late, and who knows. But we live in a time where people are quick to put a GoFundMe in place, but it's not the community's responsibility to help you bury your family members.
Right. That's it.
I mean, I'm just being honest. It's not the community's position, because if the community came to you and awarded you $100,000, you're not gonna go, hey, let me just get this out to people. You're not gonna do that. But you want the community to come together to bury your loved ones. So it's not about getting the biggest policy in the world. I actually really don't care what you put in place. You need to put something in place that's affordable for you, that's going to take care of whatever your specific goals is. Some people goal is wealth building. Some people goal is just final expenses. Whatever that is, you can find a life insurance policy that's going to meet your budget.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. So talk to me. I think that I see how you're maneuvering, and I see how you are continuing to grow, and I know, man, that you are just going to continue to just be more and more influential in this industry, help more and more people. So I won't ask what the goal is now, because I know you're still working towards what the final goal is going to be, for what that final objective is, right? But here's what I do want to ask. I want you to now ask you to go back in the past initially, right? I want to go into the future. It's 15, 20 years from now. Where is Jamil Warren, in this industry? What is the contribution that you've made, and the impact, that and legacy you've left?
Yeah, I would definitely would say that far in the future, I definitely would say, definitely Vidacare being a multi-million-dollar life insurance agency, not just for me, but definitely an agency that has done good on the production side. Definitely an agency that has helped change agents' life. And the other side of it is me empowering other life insurance producers as well. Like I said, I really feel like I'm still brainstorming on that now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I know I have to do something to reach back, because some people just need a hand up. And every time I have a conversation with someone, I can tell that their life has changed and impact just from what they send me. So in the future, I see seminars, I see books, I see some of everything in the future for me and Vidacare.
Hey, absolutely, man. Hey, look, I see it for you as well. You gave some words of advice, but I mean, just any summary statement for somebody who's on the fence, thinking maybe they want to get into this business, but they're trying to kind of figure it out. How would you summarize that for them if they're on the fence about the decision?
Yes, I would say you have to think about where you've been and where you're headed. In any industry that you're in, you're going to have challenges. If you're on a job, I'm certain you have challenges there. So you can't think that I'm not going to join this industry because of what challenges may happen, because they're going to be in every industry. But I would say joining this industry here, you want to definitely make sure that you come in ready. You want to go ahead and start writing down, even now, what you want to accomplish, and making sure that you're being intentional about everything that you're doing, that you're not just floating day by day, because days and weeks and years, they fly by quick. So being intentional, keeping a positive attitude, not sharing things with people that you know going to come back and discourage you. Sometimes you have to keep things to yourself and just take a chance on you this time. Make a decision that you're not going to give up on you. And your goal for changing your life have to be bigger than your excuse of wanting to give up. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Hey, Jamil, you are wise beyond your years, brother. Yes, you are.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How can people get in contact with you? How can they stay up with you on social media? How can they reach out to you if they want to get involved with what you got going on, if they're down in the Florida area or wherever they are and they just want to reach out?
Yeah. So of course I'm Jamil Warren on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Jamil Warren. That is at I am Jamil Warren. And my website is yourvitalcare.com. And again, that's www.yourvitalcare.com.
Hey, Jamil, thank you very much once again for the time. So glad to have this conversation. Wish you much, much continued success. I know you're a shining star in this business. And for those who are listening, maybe, you heard something that Mr. Warren said that makes you think, you should get a license, and until next time, take care.
Thank you.